No, you had it.
Hi, today I'm here with the men's soccer team, Griffin.
My name is Manuel Morales.
I'm Alex Bacchiocchi.
I'm Phil O-Neil.
And I'm Johnny Antolino.
Today, our podcast, we want to talk about just club soccer, youth club soccer, some rules, what we think, things we should be changed or other things. So,
one of the big rules in club soccer nowadays is the header rule. I think it's the stupidest rule of all time. It hinders the development of the athletes because now they have to change their whole game to not header the soccer ball, which is a main part of the game. So I feel like it's stupid to wait till they're 12 to start letting them do it.
Although it's true that it has its advantages, because on safety concerns, there has been cases and there has been science research that there's concussion risks and long-term brain health. Therefore, by removing this restriction, the players are going to be more safe and they're going to develop in the future better.
But as you're saying, at the age 12, your brain's fully developed, so now you can have a soccer ball. Your brain's still developing at 12, so the age doesn't really matter. If you don't want to head the ball until your head's fully developed to stop all these issues, then you're not going to be able to head the ball until you're like 24.
But at the same time, there has been cases where kids under 11 and 12, they had been getting concussion just simply by hitting the ball.
Well, that's why you have to teach them how to do it correctly.
Well, I think that the research would show that, like, much younger people, like, for example, 8 years old, below 12 years old, that's when they're most prone to, like, brain damage or any kind of concussions from heading the ball. I think, like, if they put, an age on it, 12 years old, for example, like, after 12 years old, you're probably less likely to, be as affected. So
I see where you're coming from. It's just the development, because I coach and I watch these kids and they can't head the ball because they're 10, and they now try to stick their leg up in the sky. They try to do all this extra stuff that's going to be a bad habit for them once they get to that age 12, when you're trying to teach them how to head the ball, and now they're just sticking their leg up like they're a ballerina or something, which I was taught not to do as a child.
So would you rather just get rid of the rule or make it younger than 12?
I would believe that once you could start playing travel soccer, then you should be able to head the soccer ball, because it's the big part of the game. It's not like it's a little tiny part. Like, to be a good soccer player, you're going to need to know how to head the ball, because it's a liability when a player doesn't know how to head the ball, especially when they're like on defense or something and a long ball comes and they can't head the ball. It's a liability for them.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, me coming from Spain, like, I completely agree with you about getting rid of this rule. I also understand, as you should too, the advantages about getting this rule into the U.S. Youth Academy. But I agree with you that if you start young and teaching these kids the basic rules about headers, there's not going to be no problems.
That's what I believe. Instead of getting rid of it, I think you should just teach them how to do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with both Manuel and Griffin. And teaching the kids the proper technique in heading the ball, there won't really be any concussions or head injuries, because what most kids don't know is, like, they head the ball the wrong way. That's what causes a concussion. So I think teaching the kids the proper technique and all of that will limit the head injuries and all of that in the sports.
I will say too, like, I think it's more based on experience rather than just putting age on it. Like, I started playing soccer at 12. I had no idea how to head a ball, but like someone like Griff or Johnny, like, I'm sure they've been playing for a while. They knew how to head the ball. So maybe, like, you can make it the rule, like, for certain leagues, advanced leagues, like, you can head a ball. Or
I think that's a great point.
Like, maybe just not a level where you just sign up and play. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And it's true that it's harder to adapt when you don't head the ball since you were a kid, because there's no other alternative drills in order to practice the aerial judgment. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, also, not only that, just for me, the main reason why I wouldn't put this rule is the game integrity in itself. Like, you're getting rid of one of the most important rules of soccer. Therefore, I don't think it's a good idea to teach the kids this kind of rules, because then it's gonna be harder for them to adapt.
On another point, is I agree with Bach about it being more advanced. I believe instead of trying to get rid of it, we should just teach the coaches how to teach it correctly. So make sure that all the coaches who are letting their kids head the ball have the right criteria, because the coaching license we all have to do to become a coach. They teach us so many stuff, but the one thing I realize is they don't teach us how to teach certain things, and I believe that the U.S. Soccer, instead of trying to get rid of it, should add it into their coaching courses and teach the coaches how to correctly teach the kids to be safe and not get these head damages like concussions or brain damage from heading the ball the wrong way.
How old are like your age group?
They're 10.
So they can't hit the ball yet?
They can't, and I've seen time and time again where there's a perfect ball to head and they stick their cleat in the sky, or they try like throwing a different body part that if they could head, should not be thrown. And I know when I get to 12 with these kids and they can start heading, it's going to be a big adjustment for them, because these kids have been playing since they were like, say, 5 years old, and they've not been able to head. So imagine you're playing this game since you're 5, and now you've been playing it for maybe 6 years, 7 years, and now you add this whole new rule that can change the whole game. It's going to be a huge adjustment for them.
Do kids ever head the ball
They do, and it becomes a direct kick for the other team.
The referees actually call the...
Yeah, they have to.
Both Johnny and Griff, did you ever experience that rule when you were...
I was 12 when the rule became in effect, so I just missed it.
Yeah, same with me.
Phil, did you have this rule? Because you were playing in Jamaica, right, at that point? Was that a rule?
There is nothing like this in Jamaica.
Yeah. I think it's only
still?
I think it's only on the U.S. though. Like I did that research, and like it was said that it was only in the U.S. and all the countries in Europe. They have all the rules. So this is just an individual and independent rule from the U.S. Youth Academy.
I do have to say, to you guys' point, like me and Griff said, we missed out on this restriction. We narrowly missed out on the restriction. So I personally feel like, that was a skill I was able to develop when I was younger. And I have a younger brother who did see the restriction. So, I can definitely see how he kind of was affected, and his age group, they're not as skilled at heading the ball, and I think it does affect them. So,
I will say too, you got a guy like Johnny. His head's not messed up,
Johnny,
Griffin, you never know.
That's the case.
Griffin, you never know. But I will say most of these players that are still playing, like heading the ball at a young age did not affect anyone to the extent to where I would think you got to remove heading the ball, such a big part of the game. You got to remove it. I would say if we saw kids getting concussions every game, not every game, but multiple times a season, yes, something has to happen. But I feel like we don't see enough when we were little, at least, to warrant a whole rule change that big.
Yeah, I would say if you watch games or games with younger kids, we could all see that there's more injuries from player to player hitting each other in the head, or there's a body part in the ear that's not supposed to be in the ear. We see more injuries from those than injuries from heading the ball. So
so there's another big rule I would say that's part of youth soccer in America that shouldn't be, and it's only in America. There's a line of confrontation at a certain age, and I ran into this issue when I was coaching my boys, because I never saw it before. It was before I came in, but if they're 9 and under, there's this line that's across half fields, and you can't cross it if the opposing team is having a goal kick, and that is the offsides line. So it's this line that's set up on the field that's keeping the other team back because it's trying to build the kids to build out. But all I see is it's teaching kids a bad habit, because these kids are now building out of the back with no pressure, with nobody near them, and they have space to move up, which would never really happen in a normal game.
So the forwards can't press.
The forwards can't press until the goalie passes the ball to someone else and they take a touch forward. and then they can finally cross that cone line.
We
I've
never
never
had that,
heard
right?
that rule.
It's
Never
a new
in life.
it's a new rule.
How new is that?
Not as new as you would think, but I ran into it last year when I was coaching in
That's
EDP.
ridiculous.
It's a big league around this area.
Yeah, so that's like a
And
top league too.
They have this rule, and some coaches follow it and some refs follow it. Some didn't because it's a very controversial rule. Like I know there were some games where I wouldn't put the cones down and the coach wouldn't say anything because I didn't believe in it. But then there was other games where coaches would advocate for it,
Yeah.
or refs would, and I just don't believe in it because once you get out of it, you're now used to staying behind this cone line or not having that pressure. You're not going to know what to do when you're in that pressure,
Yeah.
and it messes up all sides because the real offsides is half field, half at the half line. So now that you have this extra line, you now have to reteach the rule to all the kids, and I just don't think it's an important rule to have in the game of soccer.
That probably confuses some referees too, I'd imagine.
It does,
And
especially
coaches.
the older
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, it
When I
really changes the system.
When I first came to a game and I saw it, I had no idea what was happening because you don't learn this rule in the coaching courses. You don't learn this rule anywhere. So it was a very.
That sounds
confusing
more
thing.
like a training thing. Like we would do that. We
Yeah.
did that here at Manhattanville. We did like a thing where we build out the back with like a line.
I think there's a lot better methods to teach, those tactical ideas, like, wanting a team to play short passes from the back. I think there's better ways to do that. And also, if you put yourself, like, in the position of these young kids, like, just let them play. Like, if
Yeah.
there's the forwards that want to go press, like, the defenders, like, let them run. If I were, a 10-year-old kid, like, to me, it would be really annoying to have to play to that rule.
I have a question because I was looking the differences between Spain and US in terms of soccer, and I looked up the slide tackling restrictions, and it said that many leagues around the US prohibit slide
I don't think I
tackling,
was allowed to slide tackle.
supposedly to reduce the risk of injury and like safer defensive habits.
It's
But
again a certain age thing.
I just don't get
I
it.
never
bro.
heard of
I don't think my
Because
league was allowed to tackle.
I
slide
have
tackle.
it. If it's U7 in the United States, you can't slide tackle. And again, some coaches and refs follow it, some don't. And indoor leagues,
Yeah.
Indoor leagues,
it's
yeah.
a big thing in indoor leagues that you can't slide tackle, like indoor tournaments, indoor
Facilities.
But I never
facilities.
seen.
I think indoor is an exception because you're
Yeah.
playing on a much harder surface.
And
so
it's
harder and way
it's
tighter.
smaller.
Like,
so
I think
if
that's
you're
an
sliding, you can hit another player.
Also, I will say, sliding, you're way more likely to get hurt or hurt someone else than like heading
But-
the ball.
Yeah,
But
but at the
again-
same time, you're a kid. Like you don't enter with so much power.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
barely
but you say
impossible.
that, but the kids are also fragile.
it,
They're
de-
little.
it depends also on where the tackle. Like if you go to the ankle or to the knees, obviously. But I'm saying with the power of like the kids in terms of slide tackling is gonna be really low. So it's more harder for them. It doesn't matter if they're kids. It's gonna be harder for them to get injured. So I don't see this reasoning of putting that rule.
So you think like that rule just shouldn't be in place at all?
Shouldn't be.
I agree with Manu, but it's the same with the header rule. You're adding a rule to prevent injuries and all this, but if you just teach the kids how to correctly do what they like the slide tackle, you're gonna take a lot of injuries out. Don't get me wrong, you could always mess up a slide tackle. You could always go in a little later, a little early, and something could happen, but that's, again, a big part of soccer. Like, if you watch a college game, the amount of times someone's slide tackling or coming in, and if you just teach the kids young how to do it correctly instead of them just thinking it's a bad thing to do, just like heading, it can change the whole game and help their development in the long run.
And on top of that, like, it's super important that these kids are able to, slide tackle at a young age, especially for when, like you said, when they get older. Not only so that they're able to do it well, but so that they do it in a way where they prevent getting hurt.
Yeah, not malicious.
Yeah, I think this all sums up to the culture of different sports in different countries, because in Europe, where Manuel is from, they have like a way better system than here in the US. So when you look at how the US is restricting the kids, like you could see the difference in players and how players play in Europe and here in America, because when you limit the kids here, they don't develop as well as they develop in Europe. So Europe will always have better players.
And to finish it off, like last rule that I've seen, the concussion protocols, what do you guys think about that? Because in Spain, when there was a concussion, the kid just went put some ice, like seen by the medic from that area, and then played the next day in training or on a game. But here, from what I've seen, also in college, is that when you get a concussion, you're out for at least 1 week, 2
Yeah.
weeks.
I think that's fine now.
I think
that's
it's
fine.
good because when you have a concussion, you're way more likely to either hurt your head again or
Yeah.
get more get damage to your brain. So I think it's good to take the step. But in club soccer, their rule is you're supposed to be evaluated by the coach. And coming from me, if a kid comes to me with a concussion or concussion symptoms, I'm not going to be able to diagnose them. Like, I have no idea how to tell if it's just a really bad headache or concussion. I had to deal with it at one of my practices. A kid hit his head on the floor, got kicked in the head with his cleat. I thought it was a concussion, ended up being a concussion. And then at another time, a kid got hit in the head with the soccer ball. I thought it wasn't concussion, ended up being one. So, like, it's based off judgment, and my judgment might not always be right. So I believe they should change the rule to be, if it's a head injury, they gotta go.
Just the simple difference that I was talking about is in Spain, like the difference between the US and Spain is in Spain, when you have a concussion, you don't need a clearance from a professional medical like guy, you know? Like in Spain, obviously, when there's concussions, you're allowed to go the next day to training, but at the same time, most of the time when you have a concussion, it's true that you're out for 3 days because you're just simply not feeling good. So I understand your opinion. It's just it was surprising to me that you needed like a description or a clearance from the medical professional in order to play.
I think that's fine though. I feel like sometimes you can really tell when a player is like not ready to come back. I'll say like some concussions are definitely worse than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like what I don't like, and we've seen this too, when we take the concussion test, right? People will purposely do bad on it because when you come back from a concussion, they test you based on how you did beforehand. So players can pass by, right? But like we'll see, like this year there was a kid on the basketball team. He couldn't play because he failed the concussion test. Like obviously the kid wasn't good enough to come back. Like if you let him play on that, like in Spain he would have been able to play. You can get seriously hurt again.
I mean, I don't think the brain is like something to mess around about. So that's why, in my opinion, like I think what we have here is fine. Like compared to Spain, I feel like they're a little bit more lenient.
Oh, it's not only in Spain, like
Or
it's
what,
the whole
in Europe
Yeah.
or other countries, they're obviously more lenient. My opinion is that like when it's the brain, like that's something to take seriously. So I think you should take the proper precautions.
The USA really takes pride. in,
There's
taking
obviously
care.
a cultural thing where
Yeah.
over here they
I
take it
think-
much more seriously.
I feel like it's because of like American football.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But
Yeah, and I think those are the different rules between each countries. Like I think offside rule adjustments are the same, playing time is the same. What else? Substitution rules are the same. Small-sided games, I suppose, are the same.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, you play 7v7,
And then 9v9.
9v9, and then
11v11.
11v11.
Yeah.
And also game time and rest periods. So I think that
Those were
rounds it up.
those were the big rule differences and what needs to be changed in U.S. soccer before we can actually be a powerhouse.
So in conclusion, just to finish it off, what do you guys think of, especially the header rule? Like I want a quick answer from every single guy about if you would remove it or keep it on
With
the
the-
U.S. youth soccer.
With the
I know-
offsides rule too.
Yeah, no,
The
but
line
let's
of
start with
competition.
headers. Johnny, what do you think?
I'd say, I think to a certain extent there needs to be a rule for the headering, but I think that can definitely, maybe the age can be brought down a little bit. But if I had to choose one, I would say, to take out the headering, the rule.
And the other rule?
As far as like the building out, like the line of confrontation.
Yeah.
I think that's something that can go because, it just restricts the players and it makes it more unrealistic game for young players. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the header rule should be removed because I think it's limiting the game for the little kids, and I think the little kids deserve to play how they really want to play and express themselves. And also the offsides rule, I don't think there should be an offsides rule at the half line, or you should wait to attack the goal for the little kids. I think building out from the back with pressure from early will develop you into a better player. So I think they should remove the building out from the half line with the little kids.
Yeah, I think with the header rule, I don't think it should be removed, but I think it should be implemented in only certain leagues. I think more advanced leagues with tryouts should allow you to head the ball, but I think club and like town club, we just sign up and play. I understand why it's there, because you can start playing the day before and then just go and head the ball. You don't know what you're doing, but the building out the back rule with the offsides line, I don't like that. I think that's more of a training thing, a training tool that you would use to teach your kids how to build out without pressure, but in a game, I just feel like it doesn't make sense.
For me, the heading rule, I agree with Buck. I wouldn't completely remove it. What I would say is I would, instead of putting at 11 years old until, like, you need to be 11 in order to head the ball, I would lower it to 8, around 8 or 7 years old. And then they get more experience when they're 9, 10, or 11, and they can develop quicker as a player. And with the other rule that Griffin said about the building from the back and the offside rule in the midline, I think that's stupid. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it restricts the players in itself, and I think it doesn't help neither the coaches, the referees, because it's gonna be harder for the referees to analyze, and it's gonna be harder for the referees and also for the players.
I believe the header rule should be taken out at the travel level. There's rec and stuff like that where the beginners can go, and I think you should make it a main part in rec to teach them how to head the ball, so when they make it to travel, they know what they're doing and won't get hurt. But if you can't do that, I would say make it a main point in travel soccer to teach the coaches how to teach it, to make sure the kids are safe, instead of just trying to get rid of the rule. And the build-out line, I think you should just remove in general. I don't think it helps at all. It just hurts the kids.
I think that wraps it up then. Thank you for listening this podcast on youth soccer.